fix it by the time we come back. My name is Jordan Smith. I am the current editor-in-chief of Tokyo Poetry Journal, a gorgeous journal that is floating through cyberspace and inhabiting the streets of this beautiful city where we all live. We have some amazing poets with us tonight. Sorry for the delay. We got massively Zoom bombed. It was quite a, it was very now. It was very, very April 2020. So here we are going live on the YouTube stream, and there are about 30 people with us inside the meeting after the Zoom bombers got kicked out. We got people holding guitars. We got people with flowers in their hair. We got people with years and years of poetry in their minds and in their souls and in their hearts, ready to chill with you guys and enjoy an evening together. So let's jump in. I want to say thank you very, very much to a couple of people. First of all, before we start, I want to thank Shelly. Shelly is one of the people who really made this possible. She is our tech person, and we're all doing this as a kind of hatsuchosen. It's like our first time doing this, so we really appreciate her setting that up. I also want to say thank you to everybody at Versopolis, including Alesh Steger, and I believe it's Aljaz Koprivnikar. Sorry if my pronunciation is bad. These are new friends that I've met only by email. And I also want to thank Suga Keijiro-san. Suga-san is with us tonight as a poet. He is also on the board of advisors for Tokyo Poetry Journal, and it is thanks to him that this event is happening. He's the one who sent me the email from Versopolis, and here we all are. Thanks to everybody for joining us from all over the world. All right, so without further ado, because there has been a lot of ado, we are going to jump in with some intros. Pretty much everybody is going to be reading for about 10 to 15 minutes. We have a really, really sick lineup tonight. Super stoked. I'm going to introduce the poets kind of one by one as they come up, but I'll just say their names, and this is the order that they'll be reading in. First of all, Ryan. And Ryan, dude, I think I asked you somewhere for a phonetic reading of your name, and then I realized that you got dropped from the CC list on that email. So, dude, Ryan Dzelzkalns. And no, I'm just kidding. You're gonna I'm unmuted you, and you're gonna correct my pronunciation. Ryan, drop it on us. Dzelzkalns. Yeah. All right, thanks, man. Putting you back on mute, but I love you. Okay, and the other poets that we have tonight: Michael Frazier, Miki Yuuri, Sakisaka Kujira, Xiao Yue Shan, and Suga Keijiro. So we will be going in that order tonight, and I will tune myself out during their readings and just enjoy. But with Kujira and with Yuuri, they're going to be reading a couple of poems each in Japanese, and I will be reading some translations that appeared in Tokyo Poetry Journal. The event tonight does actually have a theme, and that is the theme of hope. But it doesn't mean that we all wrote about hope in a very direct way. It's the cool thing about poetry is it is often an indirect connection. 今日のイベントのメインテーマがあるんですけれども、希望ということ、hope なんですが、直接にそういうテーマに関係のない詩はもうどんどん読まれると思うんですけれども、別に内容的には希望という関連がなくても、詩というもの全体的には希望で溢れてるっていう存在だと思うので、そういうような希望的なアーツなので、希望という気持ちを抱いてぜひ詩を楽しみましょう。はい。First up, we have Ryan. Ryan is a Topojo favorite, first of all. Topojo, by the way, is what we call Tokyo Poetry Journal, Topojo. And he has been published in Topojo a couple of times. He's also appeared in a bunch of other journals, the Shanghai Literary Review, Tin House, Diagram, etc. He got an MFA from NYU and a BA from Macalester, where he was awarded the Wendy Parrish Poetry Prize. He's also worked for the Academy of American Poets and was recently a Fulbright Scholar in Tokyo, where he still lives and works. And you can read more about his stuff at ryandz.com. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, Ryan is going to be taken off mute and audio spotlighted and rock some stuff for us. Ryan, my brother.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun and such a strange, wonderful experience. This is my first time on this side of the Zoom performance, and let me tell you, it's wild. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Topo Joe. Thank you all for coming on a Wednesday night or Wednesday morning or whatever time it is now in the world. So I'm just going to get right into it. My first poem is a Kyoto poem. I wrote it when I was in Kyoto. So the things that pop up in Japanese are going to be place names and sort of like landmarks. The woman spitting the ice cube onto her spoon reminds me of you. I'd forgotten what it's like to be in a crowd, unnervous. Tonight, all the people will walk around me, and I'll break a sweat not once. Because Kinkakuji's plated in gold, it keeps getting struck by lightning. Another hawk swooping in the riot of green. I'd never seen so many birds when you did what you did to me. The delicate way you quit my name out your mouth. Leaf subsiding to leaf, and the Oji-chan will keep sweeping them away. Things happen here while they can. Pray then, let me stay by my own side. The Kamogawa keeping to itself, and me murmuring, everything's so beautiful, in a crowd, unnervous. The egret swallowing what you did to me. I have become a loose man mobbed by songbirds, our silhouettes made strange by distance, the trees so cruel. Maybe this is just the cost of desire. The house will burn down again, but that's what makes it beautiful. So that was the fun thing about picking these poems, is stuff that I'd written before, and sort of seeing the strange connections or things that feel more poignant now in the time of quarantine and self-isolation. Yeah, so I've been living in Tokyo for almost 2 years now, and I left from New York City. So this is a poem that I wrote on the occasion of leaving New York, and it's called Obad, with a epigraph by Walt Whitman that goes, till the gossamer thread you fling, catch somewhere, oh my soul. Obad. In one version of this story, I have left everything behind. I'm not sure it's the right version, but I can't seem to get it out of my head. The sadness of looking a door in the eye, of throwing away the Metro card, even though it still has 525 on it. It's this boiling down that worries me. The city compressed into one airy room filled with light. But this unspooling life catches the wind. Each handful of now past lovers, of takeout joints along the Hudson, of people who did nothing but lean against my life and keep it upright, isn't slipping through my fingers, but rather is thrumming like the chain of an anchor, not to keep me in place, but instead granting purpose. This was a decision, and now it is mine. Let this thread become a banner, a whippet straining at its leash, an arrow shot through my heart, pointing forward. Okay, and so for this next one, I mean, quarantine wouldn't be quarantine without a little Star Trek, am I right? And I am Team Janeway, Voyager, forever and ever, amen. Okay, so this next one is called Theory of Observation. There is a rhinoceros beetle outside my door, unwinding. Last night we marveled at its glossy shell after returning from dinner, astonished by its missing leg. It was lying on its back, ticking off the entirety of our night. 2 months, and we've narrowly avoided meeting each other's parents. I feel like a new electron, well-intentioned and waiting for discovery. Perhaps this man will be the gift to permit an end to my waiting. But of course, even observation can have material effect, pinning the specimen to the board. Sometimes I do not leave the apartment all day. Watch Captain Janeway stump about the bridge in her stiff-limbed efficacy, sporting an updo that would make you spit. I am jealous of her abundant certitude, knowing that who she is now is not who she was, but her own precise descendant. In the show, they spend so much time trying to get back home, but they've already made one among their fellow voyagers. Today, I endeavor to wash the sheets, honor that which so often receives the burden of our bodies. With the bed stripped, it is neither dirty nor clean, merely inaccessible. It may as well be an altar to our future, sanctifying the threshold between what we are yet to do and what we have already done. I should really go out, turn the laundry over, but instead, let another episode autoplay. The beetle is still out there, I suspect, and due to the unearned blessing of unknowing, neither whole nor broken down, but right where we left him. So those were all earlier poems, and I've been having a really hard time writing during this pandemic situation that we're in, with this next exception. It's very short. It's a tanka, so it's 5 lines. So I'm going to read it twice just because it's super quick. It's called Along the Yudono River, which is just a river right out here, right in Hachioji. Crystalline are my worries, inorganic and growing. But here I see lemon blossoms open, can taste the promise of fruit. Crystalline are my worries, inorganic and growing. But here I see lemon blossoms open, can taste the promise of fruit. Okay, and I'll just do one more. And it is called A New Vocabulary of the Self. How many times have you been through this, sweet brother? You have begun to trust your dreams again, which shows good faith in our blood. Even if you hate your life, you've been carrying it with you for so long. I wish you the rare fortune of waking anew and meeting yourself on level ground, the sun popping through your tent. Your dreams have been the cost of this narrow life you've inhabited so urgently. And you deserve everything back. The swallow in the sunset, the battalion of dragonflies on the lake, a morning in the valley filled with mist. I say this not for your benefit, but because it's true. I love you. Fear not this acquaintance with shame. It is revelatory only because you fit in for so long. Welcome, dear brother. I shall teach you this new language, one to describe not the life that you live, but rather the shape of your desire. Let's start now. Lie on your back. Tell me what you see. Are the trees holding on for dear life, or about to drop into the sky and fly to the sun? I know you're scared, but there is strength to be gained in imagination. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. That was so fresh, man. You have so many fans in the Topojo community. I'm really, really glad that you could join us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. I love what you're saying, too, about creation in this time. And I know a lot of people have been in a slowdown. And I think a lot of us in the Topojo community, it's the same, right? みんなこういうような状況になって書きにくくなっちゃったという人はかなりいる。全然執筆してない人もいる。But I think that's part of this. Part of the hope is that we can all come together and just enjoy this stuff. So thanks, man. We're going to move toward Michael Frazier, who I'm going to introduce in just a sec. I wanted to make a couple of suggestions. Like one of the things that I learned from working with some sign language poets like Sasa Marie here in Japan is the way that people clap in that community. And at those events, they often do this because it's like a visual clapping. It doesn't make a sound necessarily, but it doesn't matter. This is easier to see. So for those of you that are participating visually, feel free to join us this way. Even if you're on mute, we can still kind of see you applaud. So that's my suggestion for how to do that. 笹まりという友達がいるんですけれども、耳の聞こえない方のための市のイベントもやったりしてるので、その時に拍手じゃなくてこういうふうに感謝を、届けるっていうような素敵な習慣があるんですけれども、クジラさんもそれに参加してるんですよね。OK。じゃあ次はマイコ・フレイジャー。So let me introduce a poet and a high school teacher in Kanazawa, Japan. Beautiful Kanazawa, Japan, as a lot of people call it. He received his BA from Gallatin at New York University, where he was the 2017 Poet Commencement Speaker. It makes me so happy just to know that such a thing exists. He was also a co-champion, and that also kind of makes me happy too. The idea that there's not just one champion who has toppled everyone else. There is a co-champion. People can share that stuff at College Union's Poetry Slam Invitational. He's also performed at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, New Yorican Poets Cafe. Woo! And is it Gallatin? Gallatin? I don't know how you pronounce it. Let me take you off mute, man.
Yeah, Gallatin.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, cool. Gallatin. And let's see. Also, he's a reader for the Adroit Journal and an alumnus of the Kalalu Creative Writing Workshop. He has poems either published or forthcoming in Construction, Visible Poetry Project Day 1, Speakeasy Project, and elsewhere. And I think after participating in an event like this, we'll probably be soliciting some of his poetry for our fine publication as well. Take it away, my friend Michael.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hello. All right. I'm really excited. So, yeah, I'll just jump right into the poem. So the theme is hope. And so I'm going to share 3 or maybe 4 poems kind of, about hope. I've been thinking a lot about nature. And so, especially the moon. And so I wrote this poem called What the Moon Said to the Black Boy after Clint Smith. Clint Smith is a really dope poet. He has like a bunch of what the Nani Nani said to the black boy in his collection, Counting Descent. And I was really impressed by the persona, and now I'm kind of wondering, what would nature say to me? Okay. What the moon said to the black boy after Clint Smith. No matter where you run, I can see you in light. Pull your shadow away from your body like a confession. I know weaponized, been called sickle, sight. They call you anything that rhymes with night, though we both are a reflection of God's Son. There's you, and the you born from the dark of myopic imagination. I've watched my light abused by beast and men's body. Look at my scars, my shine. You should consider the sky. Wonder why all these Greek brothers eternity around me after they die. I know why they tell tales of me, of you, why we stay a trope of the dark. Who can resist looking up at a brilliant body hung? Next. Oh. So this next poem, actually, it's really pertinent now because I love my mom. As you know, I feel like anyone who knows me for more than an hour knows I love my mom, and I'm writing my first book about my mom, and so I'm dealing through all of our relationship. And one thing I noticed in moving to Japan is how close we've come because we can only talk on the phone and FaceTime. So we've grown really close, and I worried so much about like what would happen if I lost her. And there was no way for me to reconcile that without, besides prayer, and also just I'm not guaranteed her longevity. And so for me to kind of reconcile that with her finiteness, I made a list of what could kill my love. And so this poem is called What Might Kill My Love. Sun-kissed orange soda, a spoon left in the sink overnight, sweat stains, country sweet chicken relocating across the street, fluorescent-eyed deer during her AM commute, anatomy, physiology at community college, debt with no diploma to show, Rochester's lake next snow, black ice laid in the night, 3 doubles back to back, her nursing home residents spitting, nigger girl running their sword fingers through her permed hair, men who mistake good night will come over, an empty nest, closing in like a grave, a dealer's bullet engraved her brother's name, settling for her, the job God hung above her crown, save your family, her knees, ankle, sciatic nerve, retiring before she does, her iPhone shouting in the night, the women on the other end who make her everyone's mother. They bring their sons, ask, can you do it? Again, how you raise two black boys on your own, or her sons returning home. Remember, for me, this is really hopeful because I realized while I was making this list, like there's all these things that could kill her, and yet she's thriving, she's alive, she's there. And when I shared this with her, that's what she made me realize about the poem. At first, I was like, this was just an exercise, and then she was like, no, I'm Superwoman. This, she was like, I persist, and so for me, this is a very hopeful poem. Especially now when there's just so much uncertainty in the world, I keep returning to that poem. Okay. So the last poem is another poem dealing with death. It's about my own mortality. And so I was just trying to figure out, like, I am also not guaranteed longevity. And so what does that mean? So this poem is called Irrational Fear of Home. There are many ways to be called back home. The nose dive of a plane, the punctuation of a pistol, my bike folded into a red crane, gazing up at God. I think I love this world too much. Gifted with wide nostrils, I inhale and tighten like a balloon, ready for flight or for bursting. I know what they say, 8 glasses of water, 8 hours of sleep. Once I ate nothing but fruits and vegetables for 3 weeks. I was hungry for God to talk me out of returning home too early. Alone, I watch a crane crash into the black, churning river. Dust spreads like a rash, a mosquito rubies on my bicep. In its bulging abdominum, I swirl outside myself. Here and not here. What I give, I take back with the smack of my palm. What makes me desirable? Is it my universal blood type, the sake hot in me, my always summer skin, regardless my body, my blame? This rental I feed and am fed on when I return home to an empty bed. If you're lucky, you spend most of your life asleep. Your mind loosened like baby teeth. Kids don't question tooth fairy logic. Bone returned, refleshed with a face. I tied my canine to the doorknob, slammed. The sedan slams on its brakes, and today is not the day I return home to my mother as a pension payment. I walk to school shaking like a tambourine on a restless knee. Lessons learned from 101 ways you can die. Buy a CO2 monitor. Inspect my razor for rust. Death, a serial advert away. The caved-in helmet, the tackled pit bull, the fence blown into my sternum. My fragility makes me a man who isn't negotiating with death, who isn't searching for God. I've been saying I need to get my life right before he comes back since Sunday school. Right now, in a lilied muumuu dress, my grandmother sits where she sat for the past 30 years, one hand rubbing a knee, another clutching her landline, humming Juanita Bayam, waiting for heaven to pick up. She knows something I don't. A sickle of moonlight invades my room. I crawl into bed, start, if I die before I wake, hear a thud on the first floor, hold my breath till the sun returns. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to hearing the rest of the poems.
Thank you, Michael. That was so fresh, man. So good to hear you. Nothing like death as a theme to inspire hope in the human breast, too, right? Centuries old truth and as fresh today as it ever was. All right, cool. So we are now going to move on to our next poet up on the list, and that is Miki Yuuri. Yes, I'm gonna unmute. Hello. Miki Yuuri, a very, very good friend of mine. She was born 1984 in Gunma Prefecture. She grew up surrounded by haiku, but also by modern poetry, thanks to her grandfather, who was a teacher, and also she was surrounded with all kinds of music, thanks to her father, who was a classical music fan. She won her first award for haiku from a local newspaper, and then after graduation studied apparel and accessories before working for 7 years for Uniqlo in visual merchandising, lot of Uniqlo fans out there. Let's see. She came back to the poetry world in 2012, and then in 2013 released her first album called Hentai, which some of you will know means pervert, and stayed involved both as a poet and in a variety of events, collaborating with rock bands, Livehouse Idols, and she's also put on all kinds of amazing events, including the legendary Ueno Poetryken Jam, named after the New Yorican cafe scene and its inspiration on Tokyo, that had over 2,000 poetry fans out for it during the last installation. And she is also the two-time National Poetry Slam Japan champion in 2017 and 2018, and she also won a really cool global haiku contest when she was in Paris for the Poetry World Cup. Amazing poet. Tonight she is going to be reading in Japanese, and I will be reading from this, which is not showing up super great, but it's the volume 7 of Topojo with a beautiful cover from Mad Dog Jones, who I rumor is according to his text message, he's watching out there. Love you, Misha. Love you, Daobak fam. So glad you guys are with us. And Miki Yuuri-san, dewa dewa, onegai shimasu.
Okay. 3つ詩を読みます。
All right, gonna read 3 poems tonight.
悲劇。私が本当の父の行き先を世界に暴露したら、庭では小さな花が咲いているし、誰もその春、私を許さないだろう。そんな誓いは最初から存在していないのだけど、後だけがある。あなたは縫い閉じられていて、私は飾りを先月のお給料で買ってあげた。不審死をした私を解剖するとき、そこに後悔や憐憫はあるのだろうか。頭蓋はやはり真っ白いのか。切断を終えた糸のこぎりを銀の台の上に置くとき、その音は暖かく湿っているか。その部屋を俯瞰している。映像未満の意味を持たなくて嘘くさい。振動が私だった。最も悲しい場所を触れるとき、微笑まずにはいられない種類のオナニーが一番気持ちよくて、そんな何万回と触れ合わないように細心の注意を払いながら超えてきた幾百の夜、あるいは昼のセックスの後に、何も残らない体であなたと激辛ラーメンをむせながらすすって横に並ぶ、何も知らないのに何もかも分かっているような顔や、ほんの少し分かっているような顔をし合いながら、延々と伸びる舌の色は淡いよね。持ってないから欲しかった。正しい顔の仕方を習ってこなかった。正しい顔ならばできた。持っているから欲しくなかった。等しく。変わり映えのない挨拶が続いていく。誰かだけを好きでいることなんてできない、可愛らしくてやましいことだらけの人間が、ひそやかに穴に向かい叫ぶときにやっと回る地球が一個しかない。やり直すべきことは何にもなかった。不謹慎だけどもう笑ってもよくて、その後少し雨が降って誰もが舌打ちをしました。これは続けて読んでいいの？
英語を読ませていただきます。一編ずつ進んでいきましょう。OK、ちょっと待ってね。 All right. So we are now going to hear the English of that. This is a new one from her, actually. This has not been published in Tokyo Poetry Journal. It came along after. And this one is called Comedy. Say that I, exposed to the world, the place where my vagina leads, in the garden, tiny flowers bloom, and no one that spring would forgive me. Such an oath may not exist, but its trace sure does. You are sewn in, closed, and I used last month's paycheck to buy you some decorations. When I die, my mysterious death, and they do the autopsy, will there be any remorse or pity, I wonder? And will my skull be pure white? When the severing's done, and the hacksaw is placed on its silver stand, will that sound be warm and wet? And the not quite cinematic bird's eye view of the room, devoid of meaning, suggesting bullshit. The vibration. It was me. Whenever I touch the saddest of places, what feels best is that kind of masturbation you just smiled through. Do that some multiple of 10,000 times, and after the hundreds of midnights or noons spent taking meticulous care to avoid touching each other during sex in this nothing left of a body, I slurp ultra spicy ramen with you. Softly slip over, so we're standing side by side. We know nothing, but we exchange looks that say we know it all, or we know at least a little bit. My endlessly stretching tongue is so pale. Look how pale it is. I didn't have it, so I wanted it. I never learned how to make appropriate faces. If my face could have expressed properly, I could have done it. I had it, so I didn't want it. Equally, a torrent of impeccable greetings. I cannot love just one certain someone. This earth that spins when people so cute they ooze guilt secretly face the whole and scream. There's only one of those. Nothing to regret and do over. It may be improper, but go ahead and laugh. Afterward, it rained, and everyone clucked their judgy tongues. Oh man, I love that one. I love you, Miki Yuuri. All right, we're gonna hear another one from you. Let's go for it. We doing ironicals?
Yes. Next
Yeehaw.
is Monica.
For Topojo fans, that's in volume 7, page 31.
青色で区切られたまま、私たちは裏切った。あと何年経てば、言語たちはとろけるか。アイロニカル、ハイロニカル。かかる虹を持たないすべての熱帯夜に捧ぐ。一片の曇りもない悪意などないよう満たす。愛は生むという暴力になら。アイロニカル、ハイロニカル。対義語に足る範囲とみなす。しっかり強く飛ばした運命と細胞を引き合う。愛は生むという暴力になら。合唱。ほどくとき溢れてしまう鳩たちにさよなら。ざっと飛び込みほうけて慕うは隣。引っかるなら。泣いてしまいたいし仕返し。未開に描いていない悲しみしばし。思うまま抱いていたい。不快すら永遠を知らない。だから。青色で区切られたまま、 私たちが出会えてた。あと何年経てば言語たちはとろけるか。アイロニカル灰色に光る、かかる虹を持たないすべての熱帯夜に捧ぐ、一片の曇りもない悪意などないよう満たす。愛は生むという暴力に担う。アイロニカル灰色に光る、対義語に至る範囲とみなす。しっかりと強く飛ばした海へと細胞を引き合う。愛は生むという暴力になる。道へと、膝へと、橋へと続くポタリ。神様、ポタリ上手に、ポタリ生まれたい。ポタリ生まれたかった。そこへは運べない、正しくもないリズム。仏様、ポタリ探す。ポタリいなければ、ポタリ殺す。オロじゃない、経血じゃない、吸い取って欲しくなんかなかった。多い日、もう安心できません。全然。あなたが死なないように。多い日も安心してもいいんですか？あなたに名前を、ふさわしい名前を。インアウト、ハウリング。僕ら育ってしまって。ありがとう。
Thank you, Yuri. All right, we're going to go with the English of that one. So this is the Japanese title is Haironikaru, combining the word for like ash gray and ironical. So the English, or ironic, and the English title is Ironicals. Delineated by the blue, we betrayed. How many more years until language melts? Enchanted. Shining in ironical coal gray, salute everything in the tropical night where rainbows will not last. Not a shred of cloud, no malice present, fulfilled. Love emulates the violence called childbirth. Ironical coal gray shines, deeming antithesis sufficient for an antonym. Surely, mightily, hurled into the sea, cellular prophets, emulating the violence called childbirth. To the doves that come flooding out when hands clasped in prayer separate, goodbye. Dive into the madness, dizzy, lean on the one beside me. If it's time to shine, I want to whinge, want to wreak revenge. A sadness never drawn in savage lands. For a while, I think to embrace it. I don't even know discomfort, let alone eternity. So, delineated by the blue, we managed to meet. How many more years until language melts, enchanted, shining in ironical coal gray, salute everything in the tropical night where rainbows will not last, not a shred of cloud, no malice present, fulfilled. Love emulates the violence called childbirth, ironical coal gray, shines, deeming antithesis sufficient for an antonym. Surely, mightily hurled into the sea, cellular prophets, emulating the violence called childbirth, to the road, to the knees, to the bridge, continue, drip, drop, Lord God, drip, drop, skillfully, drip, drop, yearns to be born, drip, drop, yearned to be born, cannot carry you to that place, incorrect, rhythm, Lord Buddha, drip, drop, search, drip, drop, if not there, drip, drop, kill, kill. What comes flooding out when hands clasped in prayer separate isn't vaginal discharge, isn't menstrual blood. I never wanted you to come fish me out. On heavy flow days, I can't rest easy, not a bit, so that you won't die, even on heavy flow days. Is it all right to stay calm? For you, a name, a suitable name. On heavy flow days, let me calm you. In, out, howling. We grew up. Yeah! We are 2 for 2 in me translating poems about vaginas and menstruation, and I am just reading them in first person like it's 2020, boy. All right. We are going to hear one more from Miki Yuuri. All right.
最後のし。
お願いします。存在？
もう飲めるへん。
あ、メルヘン、OK。
いいかな？
はい、お願いします。
メルヘン。冷たくて甘いものが好きだった女の子が遠い町へ全部捨てて新しいものだけで旅に出るには20万円と買ったばかりの青いスウェードの靴とどうしようもない言葉が必要だった。昔トルエンと機械油の匂いのする小さな町で赤ちゃんを産んだことがある彼女は言った。アイスコーヒーがちゃんと銀色のやつで出てくる国分寺の喫茶店で静かに起こることのできる人間たちが止まらないタバコの煙の中で夢を見ている死んでるみたいに。どうしようもないことばっかりのこの街が好きだ。海へは何か途方もないものが流れ出て、ドラム缶の中で人が死んで、急ぐ帰路には背中を殴られる。どうしようもないことばっかりのこの街が好きだ。冷たくて甘いものはどの店でも買えるし、私がどの色、どの味を選んだって、誰も見てなくって嬉しくって泣いてる。私たち遠くへ飛ばされようと高いところ目指して登って大気圏にタッチしてそのまま逆さまに落ちていつか死ぬだろう。これは幸福な予言だけど私にはいつだって正しい言葉が出てこない。喉が張り付く感触ばかりリアルで切り取られた時間が風に散らばっていく。Uma is heavy like you. Uma is heavy like me. あの高い声が大好きだった。オレンジ色のカバンが宝物だった。古本屋でアルバイトをしていた。あの時髪は長かった。好きな子には優しくできなかった。いつだってイライラしていた。いい匂いの子を集めていた。あの時本当に髪は長かったのだろうか。さらってけ風。遠くまで伸ばすのは腕じゃない。巻きつくほど長くラプンツェルの髪の毛。あの高い声が好きだった。大好きだった。それだけで生きていけるのにあるかどうかわからない世界に私たちが飛んでいってしまう。さよなら。最後まであなたがわからなくって。メルヘン。ありがとう。
All right, thank you, Yuri. All right, here we go with fairy tale. For a girl who liked cold, sweet stuff, who threw it all away, and with only brand new trappings, set off on a journey to a faraway town. 200,000 yen and her freshly bought pair of blue suede shoes and incorrigible language were necessities. A long, long time ago in a small town smelling of toluene and machine oil, sobbing. I once gave birth there, she told me. Iced coffee pours right out of that silver thing there in the cafe in Kokubunji with its artsy college student vibe, humans capable of silent rage. Watch dreams in the tobacco smoke, drifting ceaselessly, like the dead. Filled as it is with one absurdity after the next, I love this town. Extraordinary things washed out to sea. Someone dies in a metal barrel, hits me from behind as I rush down the road home. Filled as it is with one absurdity after the next, I love this town. You can buy cold, sweet stuff in any store, no matter which color, which flavor I choose. No one pays it any mind. It makes me so happy that I'm crying, as though we're being blown far away, aiming to ascend to some high place, touching the atmospheric layers, then just like that, plummet upside down and someday surely die. This is a prophecy of blessings, but the right words won't come. A choking sensation in my throat. In reality, time is torn up and scattered on the wind. Woman is heavy, like you. Woman is heavy, like me. I love that voice, that treasure of an orange bag, working part-time at the used bookshop. Such long hair back then. I could never be nice to the boy I liked. I was always in a pissy mood, gathering nice-smelling fragrances. Back then, I wonder, was my hair really that long? Sweep it away, wind, into the distance. What extends is not an arm. So long it grows tangled. Rapunzel's hair. I loved that high voice. Oh, how I loved it. I could live on that alone. Yet into this may or may not exist world, we go flying away. Goodbye. To the very end, I never understood you. A fairy tale. Thank you. Miki Yuuri, arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you so much for a beautiful reading. All right, cool. We are going to move right on to our next reader. And our next reader up is also going to be reading in Japanese, and then I'll do the English. Her name is Sakisaka Kujira. She is a poet born in 1994 in Nagoya. She is a graduate of Keio University's very prestigious Department of Literature. She began writing poetry at age 5, and I'm going to take her off mute now so that she can say hello whenever she's ready. So she's been writing poetry for a good long time. She took on the pen name at age 21. Before that, she had dropped out of school at 17, lost a friend to suicide at 19, and then became a member of a poetry and electric guitar unit called Anti-Trench, one of the hottest acts in Tokyo. If you have never seen them live, it is one of the reasons that we are praying for this period to end quickly so we can hear them live. They're incredible. She's also performed with great poets like Tanikawa Shuntaro, one of the poetry gods of Japan, and Ito Seiko, also a really, really active multi-talented individual in Japan, a lot of best-selling books in prose and in poetry. She's also active as a workshop facilitator, and she's worked in employment assistance services, social welfare type stuff for the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. Everything that she does seems to help the community in some way. She's a very, very inspiring person. And she's also led poetry events in Myanmar, Vietnam, and most recently in Serbia. She's also the founder of a poetry unit called Atta. It's a 6-member poetry reading unit, and tonight we've got at least some of that unit present. I am in that group, and so is Murata Katsuhiko, who is in the house. Without further ado, I would like to turn it over to the amazing Kujira. Kujira-san, 聞こえてますか？大丈夫？
聞こえてます。大丈夫です。
マイク OK。じゃあよろしくお願いします。Kujira's poems are in
はい、よろしくお願いし
this one, Volume 9にも出ました。はい、よろしく。
ます。2編詩を読ませていただきます。
Gonna rock 2 poems for y'all tonight.
宇宙文化人類学ハイバルに関する記述より、その星の人々はふるさとを意味する言葉を2つ持っている。一つはサウラ。これは日本語でいう実家に近く、すでに立ち去ったコミュニティを表す。サウラは場所ではなく、あくまで人と人とのつながりを指すことが多い。もう一つは少し難しい。多言語では翻訳しきれない言葉だ。強いて説明するならば、非常に大切に思うふるさと。魂の核に根を張っている風景。ただし、何らかの理由でもう決して帰れない場所。永遠に失われたふるさとのこと。その星ではそれをハイバルと呼ぶ。だから、ハイバルは常に存在しない。あるおばあさんのハイバルは残してきた星だという。繁殖力の強いツル科植物に飲まれていくそこを去ってもう50年になる。ある少年にとって、ハイバルは2歳の時に亡くした母親だ。やはり単にふるさとというのとはわけが違うらしい。その星は、もともと移民の星である。最初の移民の子供の子供の子供の子供の子供たちが走り回る今でも、存在しないふるさとを慈しむ気持ちが、大地に残っているのかもしれない。ハイバルに風が吹くといえば、ふと悲しみが押し寄せることを示し、誰かと心を通わせることを、相手のハイバルに触ると表現することさえあるように、その星の人々は、すでに失った風景を、いつも体に宿して生きているように見える。このひどく内的な概念に、宇宙文化人類学者たちは皆頭を悩ませる。だが私は、時折無性に自分の中にハイバルの存在を信じたくなるのだ。馬鹿げていると思うだろうか。この言葉を知ってから、幼い頃愛していたあの紫色の海が胸の底に波打つのを、確かに感じることがある。そして不思議なことに、その感覚は私の個人的なノスタルジーにはとどまらない。ハイバルに意識を傾けるとき、ふと悲しみが体を吹き抜けていく。 私は、それがひょっとしたら、この星がはらんでいる、見知らぬ誰かの悲しみかもしれないとさえ思っているのだ。ほら、ハイバルに風が吹く。ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Kujira-san. Love that poem. This is such a wild one. It's one of those poems when I was translating it, I kept asking myself if I was getting it right. You'll know what I mean in just a second. This is from page 163 of Tokyo Poetry Journal, volume 8. 9, my bad. Okay. Cosmocultural anthropology. From an explanation of Haibaru. The people on that planet have 2 words for hometown. One of them is Saula and is close in meaning to the Japanese jikka, one's original family home, or the community where one was raised but has now left. Saula doesn't so much mean a place as it does a sense of connection between people. The other is a bit difficult. It's a word that defies translation into any other language. To explain it, you'd have to say it's something like an extremely dear hometown, a landscape with roots extending into the nucleus of one's soul, yet also a place that for some reason or another one may never return. A hometown that has been eternally lost. On that planet, they call this Haibaru. So a Haibaru almost never exists. For a certain grandmother, it may be a planet she left behind some 50 years ago, a place engulfed by highly fertile vine plant. Haibaru may be the mother he lost at age 2, so it seems we can't think of it simply as a hometown. That planet is originally a planet of immigrants, even though now it's a place where the children of the children of the children of the children of the first immigrants roam. Deep adoration for a lost homeland may be embedded in the earth. Haibaru is frequently paired with the verb meaning to become pregnant. If one remarks, the wind blows in the Haibaru, it indicates one's been touched with a trace of sadness. When one's heart connects with another's, one might say, I touch their Haibaru. An expression that hints at how the people of that planet always seem to harbor lost landscapes within their bodies. This terribly intrinsic notion sends the heads of cosmocultural anthropologists into confusion. Nonetheless, at times, I find myself wanting to believe, recklessly, in a non-existent homeland within me. You think me absurd? Since I came to know this word, I've most certainly felt the waves of a purple sea I loved as a child beating inside my breast, and mysteriously, that feeling cannot be explained away as my personal nostalgia. When I incline my consciousness toward the Haibaru, a faint trace of sadness blows through my body, and suddenly I realize that perhaps this sadness is that of an unknown someone that planet is pregnant with. The winds blow in the Haibaru. Thank you, Kujira-san. All right. Next up.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。大好きその詩、ありがとうございます。 りがとう。本当に不思議な気持ち。読むたびにますます不思議になっていく。ありがとう。じゃあ次お願いします。
ありがとうございます。クライスト。もうとっくにお前とバラバラの存在でいることにも飽きたのに、お前の皮膚は未だ黙秘を続けている。俺とお前とは二つの円環で、木の形に張り巡らされた血流は、すべて一箇所のターミナルへ接続し、発着を繰り返す。円は最も閉ざされた図形である。お前の円環はお前のまま。俺の円環は俺のまま。自分の血に満ち満ちて終わってしまう。母乳と血液とが同じ甘さを持つとしたら、いつか堤防を開け放たなければいけない時が来るのだ。あばら骨を自分の手で開き、痛みに耐えながら、血を分けてやらなければいけない日が。白濁したお前の血は冷たい酸素に触れて、たちまち目の覚めるような遠くの青に変わる。血に必要なのは加工だ。海と混じり合い和解するための。俺がそれになってやる。ほら、ここに海はあって、それはずっとお前を待っているのに。もうほとんどしけているのに。お前は決して口を割らないのだ。ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Kujira-san. All right, this next poem is called Christ. It's been ages since I wearied of any existence led severed from you. Yet your flesh continues to conceal its secret. You and I are two rings. Blood flows stretching around the form of a tree, all joined in a singular terminus. Departures and arrivals repeating circles have always been the figure of closure. Your ring stays just as you are. My ring stays just as I am, filled with our own blood till the ending. Mother's milk and blood. If we suppose the two equally sweet, then someday the levee will have to open, parting the ribs with my own hand, bearing up under the pain, the day when the blood must be divided. Your pale, turbid blood, touched by cool oxygen, instantly changes to a distant, eye-opening blue. What blood needs is a river mouth for the sea-mingling compromise. Watch me become that. Behold, here, the ocean, though it's been awaiting you forever, though it's grown well nigh stormy as it did, never will you let spill your secret. Thank you. Yay, Kujira-san!
ありがとうございました。
Amazing performance as always. Love you, my friend. All right. Thank you. お疲れ様でした。
お疲 はい、
Okay.
ありがとうございました。皆さん。
嬉しい. All right, we are now going to move on to our next amazing poet of the evening, Topojo's own. Dare I claim Topojo's own Xiao Yue, or aka Shelly Shan. She first captured Topojo's fascination, enthralling legions of Tokyoites about a year and a half ago in our volume 6, which was about Buto and modern poetry. And then joined Topojo first as an editor and a social media person, and now also as an artistic director. But she is a poet and an editor elsewhere. I guess she's, for some reason, wants to edit other things besides our journal. I don't know why. Born in Dongying, China, currently residing in a very fashionable area of Tokyo. Her chapbook, How Often I Have Chosen Love, was awarded the Frontier Poetry Chapbook Prize. She also currently works with Spittoon Literary Magazine and Asymptote, in addition to Our Fine Journal. Her website is also Shelly Shan. That's SHELLYSHAN.com. You can check her out there. And you can check her out tonight. Xiao Yue Shan. Onegai shimasu.
Hi, wow. Okay, so as I've been kind of like very amateurly technically directing this whole thing, it's been really surreal for me knowing that just now I've been alerted to the fact that actually my mic is constantly running as opposed to other people's mics who are like muted occasionally. So first of all, before I start reading any poems, I would like to apologize to anyone who has had to bear witness to my general existing noises for the past hour. And it's a pleasure to be here today. It's a pleasure to be reading poetry always. It's something that I take a great deal of comfort in. And so without further ado, I will begin. So this first poem is called How Often I Have Chosen Love. And it's the titular poem to my chapbook. And it's a love poem to this city, Tokyo, more than anything else. And now that our cities and the places that we reside in have become so unfamiliar to us, I find myself returning to this poem to remember why I decided to come here, why I decided to stay. And in this journey between writing this poem and my presence here, I found that it's not any particular quality of the city that necessarily attracts someone, but the existent qualities already within the person that draws them to a particular place. And so this poem is about Tokyo, but it's also about me, and it's also just about the immeasurable qualities of space and how lovely they can be when it seems like we have no particular home to live in. So this is called How Often I Have Chosen Love. How often I have chosen love in the chestnut of November, when the night cracks open and is yellow. The dusk lifts the city up towards mid-air, how it stays there, pendulating and trembling, grasped in the palm-sized wind. Daily, how I have chosen the lemon tree, hanging over the slatted rooftop, in tatami shade, copper color, time-stoned, every shape of the moon having made itself upon it, bearing fruit, such heavy, living fruit, to be picked by no one. How every reined-in morning spoke itself in unison, just as I have chosen to meet it. And all the distance was electric. Pretty girls standing paled, Roman windows spun with wire, along the circle paths of Daikanyama river pebbles. How I have chosen to love a city that takes from other cities. The whole of Tokyo, a lockbox, overflown with photos of flowers. Passing the bike rack by Nakameguro Station, upon which Miki had brushed her hair and taught me dirty words in Japanese. Few leaves clinging, I imagined I heard the sound green made along the cherry trees. How often I have chosen the Sumida and the sight from the middle, standing on the red bridge, looking towards the Brew Bridge as a man pours half a bottle of whiskey into the river and it whirled inward like a fingerprint. Should I mention the fingernail moon? How I had once boarded a train to Ibaraki and peeled mandarin oranges until citrus drowned the pale air. I watched heels dig perfect circles into the snow, and seedlings shot up from where precisely they had stood. It was easy to imagine what could be painting, a watercolor moment otherwise gone, saved for later. The names of people do not come as easily as the names of rivers. At the photographic museum, I saw a flock of birds all rise at once, save for one who nailed a piece of the ground beneath him. And how often we sat by the heating lamp, smoking our different cigarettes, as their tails drew non-fingers upward. We read them as symbols. You did not look at me at first, and then you looked at me. My hand was painted into the dim. In Yanaka, the trees grew into houses, and we didn't spend much time thinking about who might have lived there before. And how clouds turned into gold once they touched the ground in Shinjuku, how light bulbs shed their cloud glow upon those who kissed under them. Ikigami. In the mute plum garden, combed through, whirling by generations of hands, starlight is verified when reflected off the skin of a plum. And how I had walked on music shed by passerby careless, leaving strings of words dangling. They were handed to me adjacently from both sides. Even sometimes laughter. Even sometimes ginger flowers. They passed over and I took them. The acquiescing lights tied around wild pink buildings by some hand wishing. I take it as a sign of my good use that I am still enraptured by something as simple as sunsets. How I was taught the right way to pray with a 10 yen coin by someone who loved me up an uncountable number of stairs, the jagged paper spun as through the forces of our shadows, inhumanly elongated, ruffling the hems of a spiritdom. There were 3 anonymous flowers growing from the stone. And how often fresh figs were cracked against the concrete linings, capsuled in droplets of lilac sun, their sweet smell. And how often I have chosen love. Upon this ground, every block charted by prodigal feet, by unnamed rulers, in the onset of winter, our cartography emerges. A heart startles heavy, traffic blindly intersecting. In Tokyo, where there is no patience after having chosen. Thank you. Normally there would be applause here, but there's no applause.
Mad applause! You can't hear all this? You can't hear these hands shaking? Oh, man. I gotta unmute people here or something.
No. Don't. Because I have one more. I have two more. What's my time? Does it matter?
You just keep going and going and going.
Okay, so this next poem is called Virology. And it's a poem that I wrote on the first day that Wuhan was shut down by the current epidemic that is now affecting the whole world. And at that time, much of the world was still unconcerned with what was going on in China. But there was a particular anxiety that in China, there was never really any sort of stability, in the nation in which there was always anxiety and always some sort of interacting between the people and the government. There was never any sort of comfort. So when the virus came, people are like, okay, this is what's coming now. And there wasn't the similar kind of fear that there was, but the fear still existed, but as an echo of past fears. So I wrote a poem kind of about that. Anyway, it's called Virology. The highest place to fall from is a fever. When amidst the strangled air lives something even a Chinese winter will not kill. We are pulled towards our gods in thick harnesses of terror, coating streets and uncounting steps, shrines in orange skins and paper, when the unseen plagues the surfaces of unknowing hands, coveting from the lived the evidence to redeem its proof. An empty city can only be described as ghostly. For even when people have fled, we still only have human language to describe the void. The visible clarity of what was just there 1 moment ago, now ghostly. Modern languages overtake the potency of ancient ones. No longer relying on physical delivery, the stories of our time are brilliantly viral, brutal breath stuttering, brutal touch threatening, the solution that finally cures us of the sin to touch. The look in a mother's eyes when her daughter coughs, and an instinct rises to pull her not closer, but away. For once, there is the collective consensus that closeness has murderous intent, though we had long feared what other hands were capable of doing, capable of thieving. In the windows where everyone now lives, a strange flood of reflections congregate. The breath on a lapsing journey circles its prison. Raw palms, small truths, furtive and secretive as lovers. Here in the great pandemic age, we are immune only to definition. And stories and illnesses and fears, they are all searching for a mouth to live in. Thank you.
And now unleash the truly hysterical applause, everybody. All right. Xiao Yue Shan, thank you so much for another awesome performance.
You're welcome.
And thanks again for everything that you have done to help put this evening on. Much, much appreciated. All right. Next up, I am going to invite Suga Keijiro, and I am unmuting you, my friend, so you can be heard. There you are. Hello, hello. I could probably spend. Hey, good to hear you, brother. I could probably spend the rest of the night just talking about his biography. I've already told you a little bit about him. He's an amazing guy. He's an ally and a friend to Tokyo Poetry Journal as one of our board of advisors. But he's also just an ally and a friend to many, many people in the world of literature. Tokyo-based poet and critic. He's published 10 books of critical essays, including Transversal Journeys, which was awarded the Yomiuri Prize for Literature in 2011. A really cool series called Agendar, 16-line poems in 256 pieces, published in 4 separate books for a little numerology fun between 2010 and 2013. And also a Spanish translation of that came out in Mexico in 2015. He's translated literature from French, from Spanish, and from English into Japanese, including authors like Glissant, Marie Condé, Isabel Allende, Jamaica Kincaid, Amy Bender. He also teaches critical theory at Meiji University here in Tokyo, and as often as possible, we love to do poetry events with him. And so I'm going to turn it over to Keijiro, my brother. Onegaishimasu.
Right. Okay. Hello. Are you seeing me? Well, first of all, thank you very much, Jordan, for organizing this event, because only you could do something like this at such a short notice. Well, tonight I'm going to read several pieces from this book right here, Transit Blues, a chapbook published in Canberra. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, the first one is called Walking as a Prayer. Walking itself has a value as a prayer. Children of that tribe are taught this from the youngest age. Indeed, they do walk a lot. Stepping on fixed points every day, they make their daily pilgrimages in the land without territory. They call the names of grasses and flowers. They touch the trees with their hands and notice the flights of birds and the movements of insects that they perceive only in the corner of their visual field. At each point, they have a distinctive object of prayer. Here, it is land, the material basis that supports life. Here, it is water, shaping the movement by its flow and circulation. Here, it is fire, which gives heat to the world and dries every life. Here, it is wind, the ultimate secret of being that closely resembles nothing. In this way, the land has become their altar. Their walking becomes a form of prayer. Well, I think everybody's getting a little sleepy now, so I'm going to read this piece called The Origin of the Sleep Dance. The origin of the sleep dance. All your friends in the air are sleeping in the mysterious green ray. All your friends under the ground are awake in the swinging darkness. And you, little you, sleeping on the surface of the earth on a grass bed, have a nightmare under the scent of jasmine emitted by the moon. Sleeping people make a gear-like circle in the air. People who are awake communicate with each other silently in the ground. And you, in your sleep, mimic a dog's long howl, asking for help to the dogs of the last century. I whisper quietly into your ear. A snap of the fingers to cut out the air. With your whistle, cause the wind that blows up the slope of the mountain. A shining melody runs on the surface of the river like a pororoca. The problem is probably all about your self-definition. Your self is compartmentalized like a beehive, you say. Still, 4 colors are enough to paint them separately. You tend to make things more complicated than they really are, don't you? Your friends on the shore are all sleeping among the trees. Your inland friends think it's a good time to migrate. On the deserted surface of the earth, now you are attempting an intrusion in the dream of a friend who is really sleeping. A re-encounter somewhere with a friend who incessantly texts you. When for that purpose, you stand up, asleep, a transformation of landforms begins inside your body. Erosion, deposition, eruption, and landslides. Volcanic ash falls on your sleeping friends like snow. And the friends, already walking, begins an awkward dance that awakens the friends sleeping in the air. And the friends under the ground come out of the ground and begin to dance vigorously as if to regain their pasts. You dance too, asleep and loose, with an inevitable African taste in a batik dress than the turban that becomes you. All these scenes I am photographing with my iPhone. Look, here's a snapshot I took of you dancing. Well, in the wake of March 11, 2011, we had a famous triple disaster. And in the wake of those days, I wrote a series of poems which are called Waves of Absence. So I'd like to read a couple pieces from that to conclude my reading. The first one goes like this. In the town where people have disappeared, on the wasteland where the town has disappeared, in this vast area littered with rubble, a dog is running on its self-assigned mission of patrol. What the dog is aiming at is connecting heat in surviving lives. He tries to connect somebody breathing and somebody blinking and makes them talk using unknown words. But he does not meet anybody. He stops once in a while, listens carefully, sniffs scents, and starts running again in the town where dwelling has been cancelled. Running, the dog takes off its fur. He thinks of putting it on someone to warm her up. Then he stops and lets his hot urine gush out. He's trying to mark his smell and life on the spot. wondering where all the people have gone. The naked dog, out of his fur and covered with blood, is silently running. And the next one will be my final piece tonight from the same series, Waves of Absence. 7 ravens are standing on this deserted shore. Here was a town until yesterday. Deserted, but also filled with light and full of innocence that was never before experienced. The snowflakes on their black feathers are gradually melting, becoming little drops of light. Temporarily abandoning the sky, where the restless crows and seagulls are noisily circling, 7 ravens are watching over the shore. Because there are beings traveling on the shore. They are numberless, but neither a group nor a flock. One by one, they cross the cold water, being washed by the beautiful light pouring down from between the dark clouds. The ravens are silently watching their departure. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and please have a good night wherever you are on this earth, and see you somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a perfect place to end the evening as well. I won't add a whole lot of words. I want to just say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. This was our first time doing this, first time dealing with the technology and the new internet culture, as we might euphemistically put it. I would like to thank everybody: Ryan, Michael, Yuuri, Kujira, Xiao Yue, and Suga Keijiro. And that was just an amazing, amazing evening. Really, really glad to be with you guys. Topojo.com is our website. This has been our emergence from hibernation. We will be doing this stuff more regularly with different mixes of poets. We're centered in Tokyo, but that means very little nowadays because we can get people from all over the world. So for those of you joining us from abroad, from overseas, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you guys coming to see what Tokyo Poetry is all about. And for all of our regulars who are here tonight, it's amazing. So glad to see students from Josai, from Waseda, our professor friends, our poet friends, our translator friends, and just general readers and amazing people of our community. Love you guys so much, and please join us again. I'm gonna unmute everybody, and we'll do like a 1, 2, 3 goodbye thing. Should we do the Japanese things, the same thing. We should do the yop. I'm gonna.
No, we should.
Oh man,
I don't know if we should do that.
You know you would love that.
Like a ganbatte?
Fun for everybody. No. It's how you end. It's how you end projects. Let me see if I'm smart enough to unmute everybody. Do I have to just do this one at a time? Okay, I'm unmuting everybody. So just be aware that if you're.
Oh my god!
If you're in the Zoom right now, you're just getting unmuted, and you can say.
Yeah, please give us some positive feedback.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. All right. We'll see you guys again. Shelly, do we have a poetry contest or something going on? What's going on?
We do, but please keep it's somewhat on hold right now, but I am working on it, and it will be out. And please, when it is, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on our website, follow us on some Facebook, because you could literally earn money from that. It's possible.
Ooh.
So, you know, like,
And that's why we're all here.
I'm not just saying this to say this, you know, like I'm saying it for you. It's for your benefit. But yeah, we are holding a poetry contest, and please, you know, like be on alert for that. It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be sick if you guys make it sick. So send us some sick poetry and let's see what happens. Yeah, definitely publish the winners in Tokyo Poetry Journal. All right, everybody, let's close out the night and wrap up the meeting. I'm going to just allow everybody a normal round of applause, and then we'll say good night and sayonara and arigatou gozaimasu from Tokyo Poetry Journal. Versopolis, we love you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I want to say from both a participant and an audience member how much I enjoyed listening to everyone read tonight. It's such a relief to be able to gather like this in a time where, you know, everything is the worst. So I like to express my gratitude to everyone. And if we ever do this again, I promise I will figure out the technical whatever, and we will go about this smoothly. So,
we're gonna be so smooth.
We're gonna be the
so
smoothest.
smooth. You'll barely recognize us.
You don't even know us. Like
Yeah.
that.
You'll be like, who are those smooth people in this incredibly well-run Zoom meeting? All right, 3 cheers for poetry. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.